Last night, a man dressed walked out of his front door, headed 3 blocks east before stopping underneath a dimly lit street that is yet to be named. He reached in his pocket for a cigarette, pulled out a lighter, lit the end of the cancer stick, and swallowed death. Meanwhile, the moon surveillance his silhouettes every step before he slipped into an apartment building on the corner, made his way up 4 flights of steps. 2 right turns later, he stood at his final destination, apartment 4B. He knocked. A voice on the other end said, "Who is it?" To which he replied, "It's me." And chains rattled and locks twisted and the door swung open. He stepped forward, she stepped back. She said, "You've been smoking." He smiled, and her eyes forgave long before her mind gave them permission to. She smiled at that, batted her eyelashes. She was baiting him in, fishing for a compliment, and he bit. Spoke like love was the language of his own. Then his eyes began to roam. No matter their way into the cramped apartment that she called home. Saw dinner on the table. It smelled like long hours in front of a hot stove. They kissed, and it looked as if dinner would get cold because they made their way into the bedroom, pulled back covers and peeled off clothes. He kissed her on the neck. She dripped wet. Nectar navigated its way down her thigh. He laid her down, looked her in the eyes, kissed her forehead, her cheek, her chin, her lips, the crevice where chin neglects neck, her breast, her stomach, her navel. She was no longer able to contain herself. He licked the inside of her right thigh. She let out an anxious sigh. He unleashed the tip of his tongue and she howled at the moon. He unleashed the tip of his tongue and she howled at the moon. She spoke passion, not so many words. Kissed her, she purred, whispered, "Take me," so he did. Stroked like pen to page, wrote himself onto her forever. If you listen close, you can hear him stroke, you can hear him echoing in her walls over and over and over, but soon it was over, and he rolled over, and silence fell over the room like a plague. And she lay back and slept. He crept to the edge of the bed and wept regret. You see, the second he came, he prayed for the second coming in hopes that everyone would be exiled, seeing how he was banished some time ago by HIV. And now she will die slower than the act they were a part of. How could he tell her? He couldn't tell her. He wouldn't tell her. He would flee. So he does. He gets dressed, walks out the front door, makes 2 turns left, walks down 4 flights of steps, 3 blocks west, and he ends up at his own front doorstep and reaches for a last cigarette. You see, he died in his sleep, and she coincidentally slept in his death. Woke up in a coffin of questions, looked to God for the answers, but heard nothing, simply silence. And now, something just doesn't feel right. Her life will never be the same again. Thank you.